At 16:07:14 on 12th of May 2023, a fixed security camera labeled North Plaza 04 captured a routine moment outside the Westgate Outdoor Mall in Cedar Falls, Illinois. The late afternoon light washed evenly across the walkway, flattening shadows into a soft gray. A man in a navy jacket, Michael Hanley, 38, paused near a bench to tie his left shoe. His son, Evan, 5 years old, stood beside him, wearing a bright blue windbreaker. Evan shifted his weight, looked toward the carousel kiosk, and rubbed one eye with the back of his hand, an ordinary gesture recorded with indifferent clarity. According to the initial police incident log filed at 1819, father reports child missing, last seen standing 3 feet to his right. The footage shows precisely 3 seconds when Michael's head was down. When he looked up at 16:07:17, the child was no longer in frame. No camera ever recorded Evan alive again. By late morning on 12 May 2023, the Hanley household in Cedar Falls followed a predictable rhythm that would later serve as a timeline anchor for detectives. Michael left work early, documented in his company's access logs at 11:42:03, to spend the afternoon with his son. Evan's preschool attendance sheet marked him as signed out at 12:18 by his father, initials MH in block letters. The two visited a local diner on 4th Street. A waitress later confirmed in a sworn statement. They were quiet. The boy kept turning around in his seat to look at the gumball machine. Investigators retrieved the receipt time-stamped 13:02. Evan's blue jacket can be seen in the diner's indoor camera, hood bunched at his neck, zipper halfway open. By mid-afternoon, they arrived at Westgate Outdoor Mall, a frequent weekend destination. A carousel token, later found in Michael's jacket pocket, would become an emotional and evidentiary thread through the case. At this early stage, the day holds no tension. CCTV frames show a father and son weaving through crowds, stopping at storefront windows, the child tugging lightly on his father's sleeve. Nothing in the footage suggests forewarning or unease. Routine establishes vulnerability. Ordinary movements later become reference points for grief and investigation alike. Surveillance from the next hour would become the case's central evidence, because every frame after 16:07:14 only deepened the mystery. The disappearance occurred in the narrow gap between comfortable routine and the surge of panic that followed. At 16:07:14, Mall camera North Plaza 04 shows Michael kneeling to retie his shoe. At 16:07:17, he straightens. The bench, planter, walkway, empty of his child. The camera continues recording. A stroller passes, a teenager on a scooter, a couple adjusting shopping bags. But no child in a blue jacket enters the frame again. Michael's first instinctive reaction, visible in the next 20 seconds of footage, is confusion, not alarm. He takes 3 steps forward, looks left, then right. According to his initial verbal statement at 16:15, recorded by mall security, he said, "He was here. He was right here." Security logs document the mall's internal broadcast at 16:18. Missing child protocol, level 1. Description, male, 5, blue windbreaker. At 16:23, Michael calls 911. The audio recording notes, his breathing is rapid, speech fragmented. "He was beside me. I looked down and he's gone." Dispatch instructs him to remain at the last known location. This is the moment investigators later identify as the initial divergence, the point where voluntary wandering no longer fits the timeline. Early confusion often delays decisive action, widening the window in which a child can be removed from the area unnoticed. At this minute, unseen by any camera, someone else was already moving away from the plaza. Police arrived at 16:31, documented in Officer Reynolds' body cam metadata. The footage shows a calm but procedural approach, obtaining description, identifying last location, reviewing the immediate area. In the background of the recording, mall music plays steadily, indifferent to urgency. Michael repeats 3 seconds, emphasizing the sliver of time he'd looked away. Detectives later noted in their report that fixation on a time gap is common among parents in shock. Officer Reynolds' official notes read, "Possible voluntary wandering. Child likely moved behind kiosk or into nearby store. No immediate signs of abduction." This initial classification, as routine wandering, would shape the next 90 minutes of response. Mall security staff expanded the search radius to storefronts within 50 meters. Employees at a toy store confirmed no child matching that jacket came in. A barista at the corner cafe remembered a little kid in blue running past, but CCTV timestamps disproved this. Investigators later concluded she had misattributed time. By 17:10, no sign of Evan had been found. Michael's phone camera roll shows a photo taken earlier at the carousel ticket booth, timestamped at 15:44, capturing Evan's blue jacket. Investigators would use the hood's unique reflective strip as a visual search parameter. First-hour misclassification is a common barrier in missing child cases, narrowing investigative urgency. Only at 17:26 did the case shift, when detectives learned a kiosk camera recorded an unusual detail. Police initially underestimated the case because most missing children at shopping centers are found within 15 minutes. No witness reported suspicious behavior, and the father's account lacked markers of abduction. What changed the classification was a single obscure camera angle revealing movement inconsistent with a child wandering off. While officers canvassed storefronts, Michael contacted his wife, Laura Hanley, at 17:29. Her phone records capture the brief call. "What do you mean, gone?" The next 30 minutes of her movements were verified by traffic cameras along Route 14 as she drove toward the mall. At 17:52, Laura arrived at the plaza. A security guard's statement describes her scanning the crowd with rapid head turns, focusing on every small figure in bright clothing. Her first documented words to officers: "He wouldn't wander. He holds our hands." Family intuition, often discounted in early investigations, became a point of friction. Detectives remained anchored to probability models. Parents remained anchored to personal knowledge. While police reviewed nearby cameras, Laura ran the perimeter repeatedly. According to later testimony, she whispered, "blue jacket," several times, fixating on the visual anchor that would define the entire case. At 18:10, Laura requested they pull phone records, social media messages, anything that might show unusual contact. Detectives assured her it was too early for digital workup, following procedural norms. Family urgency often outpaces investigative protocol, creating emotional tension even in a restrained procedural environment. At 18:22, a security technician flagged a frame that altered the investigation's direction. At 18:22, mall security tech Ramon Duvall notified officers about a blurred figure captured on a kiosk camera labeled K12B. At 16:07:16, during the exact second Michael was tying his shoe, the camera recorded a woman bending toward a small figure partially obscured by a pillar. Only the edge of Evan's blue jacket appears, just 3 centimeters of visible fabric. The woman's profile is indistinct, but she wears a beige cap and carries a canvas tote bag with a faded red logo. The short interaction lasts exactly 0.8 seconds, after which the woman steps back, and the child disappears from the angle. Detectives immediately classified this as possible contact. The footage was enhanced using standard forensic zoom techniques, no speculative reconstruction, revealing the woman's shoes were white, with a unique diagonal stripe. This was the first concrete deviation from voluntary wandering. Simultaneously, detectives requested access to Michael's phone for any relevant messages. At 18:44, Laura herself opened Evan's classroom tablet to check browsing history. His last accessed video involved carousel animals, supporting the belief he intended to approach the carousel, not walk away intentionally. Small digital traces and partial frames often anchor major investigative shifts. Detectives now needed to locate where the woman moved after leaving the kiosk's line of sight, and only one camera captured her next steps. By 19:05, the disappearance was reclassified from voluntary to child possibly guided away, a midpoint classification that enables expanded investigative actions. Lieutenant Avery signed the escalation form, documented as Form CF-17A, authorizing broader CCTV retrieval and perimeter closure. Investigators traced the beige-capped woman's movement to a storefront camera at 16:07 minutes 22 seconds, where she walks briskly southbound along the central corridor. No child is visible beside her. However, the corridor angle includes a mirrored decorative panel. A faint reflection at 16:07 minutes 23 seconds shows a small arm being held behind her, barely distinguishable. The forensic still, later marked as reflection evidence number 3 minutes L, played a key role at trial. Search teams expanded perimeter sweeps to exits, restrooms, and service corridors. A custodian reported seeing a woman tugging a kid, but when pressed, admitted uncertainty. Could have been a mom, I don't know. At 19:30, missing child alert protocols extended to parking lots A, B, and C. License plate cameras began logging outgoing vehicles. Escalation rarely feels fast enough to families, yet procedurally it must follow evidentiary triggers, not emotion. The crucial vehicle image would appear on parking lot C's exit camera, captured at 16:09:11. At 2012, analysts isolated a frame from camera PLCEX-03, showing a beige-capped woman walking quickly toward a dark-colored 1999 Ford Aerostar, parked near the southwest exit. The timestamp? 16:09:11. The vehicle pulls out at 16:09:34, just 17 seconds later. The crucial detail, a small object of blue fabric, briefly visible through the van's rear window as it turns. The still image, magnified but unaltered, shows a folded shape consistent with Evans' blue windbreaker. Detectives cross-referenced the vehicle with DMV records, identifying registered owner, Marlene Fay, 43. Prior minor offenses included shoplifting and a citation for trespassing in 2019. No history of child-related crimes. At 21:05, officers visited Fay's residence, a duplex on Harrison Lane. She did not answer the door. A neighbor later testified hearing hurried footsteps inside around that time. Michael and Laura were informed of the potential lead at 21:30. According to the family liaison officer's report, Laura repeated, blue jacket," while staring at the still image. At 19:30, missing child alert protocols extended to parking lots A, B, and C. License plate cameras began logging outgoing vehicles. Escalation rarely feels fast enough to families, yet procedurally, it must follow evidentiary triggers, not emotion. The crucial vehicle image would appear on parking lot C's exit camera, captured at 16:09:11. Vehicles often become the decisive link between ambiguous public footage and private spaces where evidence solidifies. When detectives obtained a warrant the next morning, what they found shifted the case from missing child to suspected homicide. On 13 May 2023, at 07:46, officers executed a lawful search of Fay's residence. Body cam footage shows the dim interior, blinds drawn, kitchen cluttered, faint sounds from a television in an adjacent unit. The first significant item was found under a pile of laundry in the hallway, a blue windbreaker, child-sized, hood slightly torn. A forensic tag later read, Item 4A, recovered garment, possible biological material present. The reflective strip matched the one seen on CCTV. Inside the van parked in the driveway, officers noted the smell of industrial cleaner. Forensic swabs taken from the back seat later tested positive for diluted blood, amount too small for visible pooling, per the lab report. The search also revealed a prepaid phone with no SIM card, a canvas tote bag with a faded red logo, and white shoes with a diagonal stripe. All items aligned with surveillance descriptions. Fay was not present at the residence. A neighbor stated she saw her leave at dawn with a backpack. Evidence transforms suspicion into trajectory. Each recovered item narrows the investigative narrative. The breakthrough would come not from the house, but from a witness at a rural gas station 18 miles away. At 10:18 on 13th of May, a call came from Pine Ridge Gas and Market in neighboring Elwood County. Clerk Tessa Morgan reported an encounter hours earlier. A woman with a kid who looked sick or tired. She told him, "Come on, we're almost done." The store's external camera, time-stamped 05 from Y54, captured a woman resembling Fay walking toward the van. No child is visible, but the passenger door opens slightly before closing again. Investigators visited the gas station, retrieving transaction logs. A purchase of cleaning wipes and bottled water matched items later found in the van. Morgan added, "The kid, he didn't look up. He had something over him. Maybe a blanket." Though vague, the testimony added timeline clarity. Evan was likely in the van at dawn, alive or not. Witness accounts, even imprecise, help refine temporal windows crucial to forensic mapping. The next discovery, tracked via tire impressions, would lead investigators to an isolated wooded area. A county deputy patrolling Route 8 noticed fresh tire impressions on a dirt turnout at 1340. The tread pattern matched the Ford Aerostars. A search team was dispatched. The wooded area showed signs of recent disturbance: compressed grass, broken branches, and faint traces of diluted cleaner on soil samples. Cadaver dogs signaled interest near a shallow depression covered with loose leaves. At 1422, investigators located a small shoe partially buried, blue, size 12 children's. Forensic photo log. Item 12C, recovered left shoe, matches victim's records. The search expanded, and at 1503, a fragment of fabric, consistent with pajama material, was found near a log. No body was recovered that day. This was the shift from missing child to presumed homicide classification. Laura was informed at 1610. According to the liaison's notes, she did not speak for several minutes. Physical terrain often becomes the silent witness when cameras no longer record. The next morning's discovery would confirm what investigators already feared. On 14 May 2023, at 08:15, search teams located human remains approximately 40 meters from the initial depression site. The body was partially concealed by brush. Forensic documentation lists condition as consistent with prolonged exposure, no attempt at deep burial. Autopsy findings, released in the preliminary report, noted, cause of death, asphyxiation. Time of death estimated between 1730 and 2000 on 12 May. A detail that struck investigators was the position of the arms, hands near chest, a posture suggesting unconsciousness prior to death. Fragments of diluted cleaner were found on the skin and clothing, aligning with materials recovered from Faye's van. Michael and Laura were asked to identify the jacket. They did so quietly at 09:52, confirming the reflective strip. Autopsy language, clinical, precise, often carries the heaviest emotional weight. Faye was apprehended that same afternoon. Faye was detained at 14:33 on 14th May near a bus station in Elwood County. Interrogation began at 16:05, recorded on standard audio video. Her initial statement, "I didn't take any kid." When shown the CCTV stills, she shifted. "I only talked to him." When confronted with the jacket, "I found it." By the fourth revision, she admitted to guiding him toward the parking lot, claiming she meant no harm. She denied responsibility for his death, attributing it to panic and accident. Investigators noted inconsistencies. Her timeline contradicted gas station footage. Her account of the wooded area conflicted with tire impression logs. The interrogation transcript includes a documented pause at 17:42, during which she repeatedly tapped the table, 3 taps in each sequence. Detectives later cited this as stress pattern behavior, not remorse. Interrogation does not reveal character. It reveals contradiction. The trial would hinge on forensic evidence, not confession. The trial began on 12 October 2023 at the Cedar Falls County Courthouse. Proceedings lasted 12 days. Prosecutors presented CCTV timeline from 16:07:14 to 16:09:34. Reflection evidence number 3L. DNA traces from the van. Cleaning agent chemical matches. Autopsy results. Tire impression analysis. Gas station witness testimony. Recovered jacket, shoe, and fabric. The court transcript records Michael's single line during testimony. "He was right there." Laura did not testify, listed instead as present but silent. The defense argued lack of intent, citing mental health issues, and asserting that death resulted from panic, not premeditation. Jurors requested to re-watch the kiosk footage twice on day 4. On 24 October, the verdict was read. Guilty of first-degree murder and child abduction. Sentencing: life imprisonment without parole. Courtroom audio captures only a soft exhale from Laura after the verdict. No further statements were made. Justice provides closure to the record, not to the absence. A documentary closes on the first frame ever recorded, camera North Plaza 4 at 16:07:14. The father kneels. The child shifts his weight, the blue jacket catches the light. The camera hums softly. It recorded the final moment of innocence, but not the moment that followed.